So you have a beautiful piece of Hawaii here, so it makes us feel warm and tropical. And on here, what I want you to write about is y equals mx plus b. What does it mean? How can I use it? Is there a real-life application for y equals mx plus b? Make up one. If I said y equals 2x plus 7, how could I use that? And what's a real-life application that could go with that rule? So I'll give you 6 minutes to come up with a learning log of about y equals mx plus b. What does it mean? How can I use it? And is there a real-life application for that? So think about while you're writing, how can I use it? If someone has never seen y equals mx plus b and I said graph, how would they graph it? What's a real-life application that we can use? We've talked about figures and tiles. We've talked about bank accounts changing. We've talked about trees growing. We've talked about temperature changing, temperature going up, temperature going down. Those are all applications of y equals mx plus b. Which one do you want to explain about? Thank you, Big Papa. Are you done? Anybody else finished with them? Okay, while you were writing, you got a ballot slip on your desk, and there's ready for 5. And what you're going to do is I'm going to randomly pick out 5, and you are going to rank them from 1 to 10. 1 is not very helpful in answering those questions. 10 is, oh, that's mine, I wish I had written that one. That's the best one ever. It answers every one of those questions. Not going to read names because names don't matter. What matters is what we wrote. So here is the first one. Okay, y equals mx plus b is a way to solve problems on a graph. What m equals is the growth, and b equals the starting point of your graph on the y-intercept. Example, y equals 3x plus 5. 5 would be your beginning, and 3 is your growth. So on how helpful on 1 through 10, rank that log. Okay, where we're going to go next is we're going to go to the big race. Let's get this information out to you. You'll have 15 minutes to complete this activity before sharing our answers with the class. So you have 15 minutes to complete this first one. Once. Okay. As we walked around, we saw a lot of good information. What I did see is that most of you got graphs done pretty well, but you spent a lot of times on the graph and you started running out of time for the information. So I'm going to start with this green line, which is Leslie. Tell me why I graphed Leslie here.
Because it doesn't tell you where she started.
It does tell us actually where we start. Where did she start at?
0.
Why do we know 0?
That's where it started.
She started at the starting line, so she started right at the beginning. Now how did I know how to track Leslie's run? How did she run?
It said that she runs every 2 meters every second.
Okay, so once I've labeled my graph, which is what you all did brilliantly, that was like, the first thing you did was you labeled your graph, and so we automatically knew what it was about, that I go 2 meters every 1 second, and I can check her progress. Why did I have to connect the lines?
So you knew that she kept running.
Because I know that she kept running. She didn't just run at 1 second and then jump and get to the next second. She was running constantly, so we need to have a line that shows that we're constantly moving the whole time. While you were working, we put a colored piece of paper on your desk and a smiley face for each one of you. What you're going to do is determine the ordered pair for your rule according to the X that you got. And I'm just waiting. Then, of the 5 graphs around the room, you're going to find a real life story that matches the rule that you have an ordered pair for, and then you're going to plot that ordered pair on the correct graph. And tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to look at all the graphs, because we're graphing them all day long, to see what errors there are, if there were any errors, and how we can correct those. So start working in your group to find your ordered pair. Once everyone in your group knows your ordered pair, go find the graph that it should go on. Once you have your ordered pair, find the correct graph that it goes on. So what's your X?
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, so you plugged in -6 for X, and you have your Y, and you have an ordered pair. Then find which rule matches that. So maybe, let's see. Now, when you see your so now you need to find a story that matches that rule, so you can plot that point in -6, -6.
So we have our rule. So what is it? And then what did you say to do?
How do you know that? Okay, so where would where is this problem?
What's your rule? So that rule right there, so that's our rule. Yeah.
Okay, but what problem does it have to do with this? What is this one here? Well, the C3 standards really talk about the 8 student processes that the students need to be prepared for Common Core. So whenever we look at our lessons, we want to make sure that we've allowed for students to have conversations with each other. It's not just a cut and dry problem. That they can make mistakes, and then we go back and look at the mistakes so they can really attend to precision, and that they're real life applications and they can work with that. Technology, if they need a graphing calculator, it's available to them. We want them to be able to make those choices. But we really try to make sure that the problems are deep instead of a bunch of one-level questions where there's no thought process. They just plug in and get out. We do one really deep question or 2 deep questions, and you can hit more of those 8 standards. And I think that's going to help us prepare ahead of time for the Common Core, to get them thinking, talking, making mistakes, identifying those mistakes, applying it to real life. The more of those lessons, those 8 standards you can get in one question, the better that question is. And so we try to just make little check marks as we go through. Literacy is extremely important in mathematics because when they leave the classroom, they receive a situation to solve. They don't get a worksheet with just numbers on it. They get someone's taxes, and they have to read through the information to give them a successful tax return. They have to put a square hole in a round box like on Apollo 13. Literacy is all about it. They have to read through the problem. And so what we try to do to help the kids learn through literacy is we've stopped reading the problem to it as much as we can. We still have, that's a new habit for us to break, is we want to read the problem and have them go. So we incorporate literacy a lot by having them read it 5 times. They know now to read it 5 times. They turn the paper over and reread the information back to us without looking at it. We do learning logs where we write about a skill. We write it to a 2nd grader. So if a 2nd grader wasn't here, could they know how to do it? If someone was gone today and they come in tomorrow, could they go to our learning log wall and figure out what we did through words? So literacy is extraordinarily important. We do a lot of group work so that we can incorporate all levels of students together. They like to pick their groups, and we let them do that every so often. But when we find a student who is struggling with a math skill, or with literacy, or with the English language, we always make sure that they're partnered with a stronger person, but that stronger person helps them out and doesn't give them the answer, helps explain the answer to them. So we work a lot with pairing to make sure that all levels are there. But we don't bring down the curriculum for the low learners. We keep it for the highest learner in the class and to bring that high learner up. And so our low-level students can be brought up eventually. We don't want to bring a low-level student up to a mid-level. We want to bring them all the way up to an advanced level. So we really try to give them all advanced questions and then partner them with someone who will really assist them. And then we also make sure that we go back by their groups and ask a question to the student we know that's struggling and to try to give them to have a voice in their group. There are 8 standards for student processes, and if you will just start looking over those, look at the strategies that students need to work on and questioning techniques. Instead of asking a student, is your answer right? How did you get that answer? What did you do? Defend the answer. Get them started talking about it. Find problems that are at the end of the chapter, the word problems. Work through those, leave the other ones just for practice in and out. But I would start getting the students to talk about math, to write about math, and to get that discussion going. Don't worry about what questions are coming. Once you get them being able to problem solve, Common Core will be there for you. Their level is beginning to become more away from just algorithms and just memorizing facts over and over again. They now have a little bit more meaning to the problem. And so as we start throwing new skills that they haven't seen, we, instead of saying you don't know how to do it, how can you tie this into a skill you've learned before? How can you organize your work? What is a way that you can begin? It's a very building block process. So the more they understand the skill, they can start to work a problem that they've not seen before. So we're really working on problem solving, and we started with the basics. We move forward, we go back. We move forward, we go back. We move forward, we go back. We recycle a lot. So now when we bring out an old skill with a new twist, they just dive right in because they look and they go, oh, I can do this. And then they come to the twist and they just naturally start to fill in the blanks because their skills are so evolved now. And they've got more confidence. They get to work together with a group. They get to make mistakes, talk about those mistakes, explain those mistakes, and they know it's okay. So I think those are just skills that they're building on, and their confidence level is shooting. When they're confident, they'll tackle anything and they will become successful.